Oh, tosh! This man is different, I tell you. You can see that after you told him for 5 minutes.
Yes?
He's a Frankenstein! And they're all alike!
Right.
It's in their blood. They can't help it. All those scientists, they're all alike. They say they're working for us. But what they really want is to rule the world!
That's enough now! I will not have this meeting become a free-for-all. These are very serious charges you're making, and all the more painful to us, your elders, because we still have nightmares from 5 times before. Now, we haven't heard from the one man most qualified to judge the situation fairly. Inspector Kemp, will you talk to us, please?
A lion is an ugly thing. And once you get one started, there is little chance of stopping it, short of bloodshed. I think before we go around killing people, we had better make dents here of our evidence. And we had better confirm the fact that young Frankenstein is indeed following in his grandfather's footsteps. What? Following in his grandfather's footsteps. Footsteps. I think. What is in order is for me to pay a little visit on the good doctor. And to have a nice, quiet chat.
Science run amok this week on Destructomundo.
Amok.
Amok or amok?
Amok.
Amok?
Amok.
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 Amok?
Amok.
What is amok?
A-M-O-K.
That's amok.
It's on. There's no sound. Play with the rabbit ears.
Hidden reports, incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. What do they think we're imagining all this?
Destructomundo. Witnesses to the effect that people who acted as though they were in a kind of trance were killing and eating their victims prompted authorities to examine the bodies of some of the victims. Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases, the killers are eating flesh. People they murdered. Repeating this, latest bulletin just received bulletin from Cumberland, Maryland. Civil defense authorities have told you that murder victims show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers.
Yeah,
That's the name of the clone dog.
The clone dog?
Yeah, you know the dog that's been cloned in
Snuppy.
South Korea.
Snuppy.
The clone dog.
Which
Yes.
apparently is an acronym, but I don't know what it's for.
It's for Seoul National University Puppy.
Like chomps?
SNU Puppy. Snuppy. Plus it's also, I guess, a play on Snoopy. But it's
Yeah.
SNU is Seoul National University.
Puppy.
Puppy. Snuppy. SNU Puppy. Snuppy. Because I heard the guy on NPR, and he's like, "We corona puppy." SNU Puppy. Snuppy.
You see, that doesn't worry me, though. You can clone puppies all day. I think people are actually looking for that.
Clone
they
puppies?
they want their dog they live with for years. They want that dog back. They want the clone.
Yeah.
Because so many people spay and neuter their animals, they don't have really the opportunity to get like a breeding system going to where they get a dog, you know, from their previous pet that has characteristics. They want their pet back.
Yeah, one little slip up though, you got Cujo.
Exactly. And you got to worry about, like, in the legislation that's in the works in the Senate, is it, or the House of Representatives?
Just say Congress. That way you cover both of them.
In Congress, the anti-chimera laws.
Yes.
No human.
Oh yeah.
No chimeras.
And you know, the chimera thing came up with I can't remember his name, but he's some bicycle racer, like a road bike racer that was supposed to be in the Tour de France. It's been suspended for 2 years after the last Summer Olympics because they do a test to see if they've been blood doping. And I can't remember his name, but it was on Real Sports. But he's been accused of blood doping, and he denies it, and he's saying that he's a chimera. And apparently, there's a certain percentage of the population that has "quote unquote" mixed blood. So and it's called.
So we should explain what anti-chimera laws would be about. Would be no human-animal mixes, no human-animal cloning to bring more.
No chimeras.
Yeah, no chimeras.
But apparently, griffins are okay.
Griffins are fine.
And hippogriffs and wyverns are all okay, but no chimeras.
Yeah.
Maybe they know something we don't. I mean, maybe there's a Dr. Moreau.
Yeah,
there.
You can't.
Maybe there's like an island of.
You can't.
Maybe
mix...
Dr. Moreau is real, and it's not just a story.
Very true.
Dun dun dun.
It's an old story too.
It's an old story. Yes.
Yeah.
So you can't mix human and animal
DNA. Yeah, you can't splice DNA and insert animal DNA.
I know you can't.
Well, you're not supposed to.
Okay. Not only can you not do it, well,
it's illegal.
I guess
They'll come and get you for it.
Yeah, I guess someone's theoretic.
Can you imagine being in jail?
You just can't do it the way that Michael Crichton explained it.
No. No.
But he's never right about anything, is he?
No.
Okay.
But he's the king of these type of books, the Andromeda Strain.
Yes.
All about like
that sort of fluff science.
Well, speaking of the Andromeda Strain, last year when the Sun probe came crashing to the Earth,
yes,
was I the only one that thought, "Oh yeah"?
Oh no, I said something at work about it. Nobody knew what I was talking about.
Because I was ready for the shit to start hitting the fan, and there'd be like some guy living out in a trailer in the desert going, "Oh, feel good."
Yes.
Man, that thing was big too. It was bigger than I thought because on CNN they showed it falling for like 20 minutes or something.
Oh yeah, it plowed, and I mean it really.
Then they went to look at the wreckage. It was just like CNN footage of something tumbling through.
See, that's just it though. They go willy-nilly up into space, like grabbing stuff and bringing it back, and it crashes to the Earth, and then they go, "Oh, oops," we didn't know, and that's what this is about. This is what this episode is clearly trying to talk about: is that scientists don't understand the risks of their own experiments.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
But very often you hear.
Well, yeah, it's the adage. Just the great caveat of reckless science is that just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Sure.
That's what they like to warn people that are doing the sort of edgy fringe science. That. Things that have like cloning and people that have ethical issues with human cloning and stuff, and they're like just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it or that you have to do it. But then you have those hardcore empirical science guys that are like they want to discover everything, and if it can be done, then it should be done because you can learn something from it, and then even if it winds up creating giant bugs that eat everything. You know what I mean? If you have recklessness and whatever, giant Gila monster.
Speaking of which, today is the anniversary of the 60th anniversary of the atomic bomb dropping on Hiroshima.
Hiroshima?
Thank you for...
Arigato.
Thank you very much. Yes, Hiroshima.
No giant bugs from that, though. Yet.
Nope.
No, but Godzilla.
But
we did screw up an entire country.
I saw it on TV. There was that super giant salamander that's like... They have the giant Japanese salamanders anyway, but it's the biggest one ever, and it's...
Oh, yeah, I heard
it's
about
like 5.5 feet long and weighs over 100 pounds, which is big. But it's like in the vicinity of Hiroshima, and they were estimating its age, and it appeared to... I think it was something in the neighborhood of like... the year that it was born probably would have been in the late 40s.
Really?
Which, obviously, in my mind, that all adds up. And I'm like, cool, giant atomic salamander.
Sure. Well, Godzilla didn't arise from Hiroshima. He was from the atomic tests in the Pacific.
Yes.
On the atolls.
That sort of Inuitak and Bikini and all that stuff is linked to Gojira.
The atomic bomb not only...
Where did Gamera come from?
I don't know. Outer space? Gamera didn't...
Nobody ever did any nuke stuff in South Korea. So.
Oh, that's right. Sea of Japan, maybe. I don't know.
No, he wasn't Korean. He was Japanese, too. I'm thinking of... what was the Korean one?
That really terrible one where the mouth's hanging open all the time? And you could see, like, the nozzle for the flame.
Are you talking about...
There's that really bad South Korean...
is it South Korea? I know there's a North Korean, like,
I haven't seen
monster movie.
No, there's one from the 60s that's South Korean, but that's just marketing. But
yeah, ask the robot and see if it knows.
I can almost think of it. It's terrible, but it's not the worst. But then there's Gorgo, which is the British Godzilla, which is really bad. And then, lest we forget, Reptilicus. The Danish one, which is...
Reptilicus.
Which is one of the worst.
That pukes all over everybody.
But, that's another one where they find the mysterious remnants of it, and then, they're real reckless in their handling of it. It starts to regenerate, and then you've got a weird puppet dinosaur thing vomiting green stuff all over Copenhagen.
Yongari,
the... full title, Yongari the monster. It's got a full title, Yongari,
the Korean Godzilla.
Yongari, that's a... No, it's Yongari, something.
Look it up on IMDb.
But...
Yeah,
that's the one. But they didn't, but obviously...
we've totally been remiss. Okay, tonight's episode, we're drinking crazy beer. I got some great cheap beer at
cherry
the store.
Beer from Belgium.
It's a Belgian beer called Creek Beer, and normally it's like way too expensive for me to want to buy, so I never have had it. And it's flavored with cherries.
Actually, when James says expensive,
it's usually $9 a bottle.
Yeah, it's not like $7 a 6-pack, which some people balk at. Like, go get me a 6-pack of Harp. It's $6.
Yeah,
that's $1 a bottle.
Yeah, $9 a bottle. That's a pretty good investment for a bottle of beer.
Sure,
but it cost us $3.
Yeah, and it's fair. It's fairly tasty. I'm sure it's fairly potent. It smells very alcoholic.
For all those out there who want to know, it's 5% alcohol. It's 5%. Not very strong.
And this is the jug.
Derek is drinking a jug of Japanese wheat beer, I think.
Mm-hmm. Hitachino Nest.
Oh, the Nest beer?
Yes, it's got the little owl on it.
So we know there's people in Japan that are listening to the show, so you need to send us some beer.
Yes, we have a Japanese listener or two.
See,
and we'd like to say hello to our Japanese listener. And
this far in the episode, we've had Hiroshima, Godzilla, and Hitachino Nest.
There you go.
Yes.
Send us some stuff.
Which, you can't go wrong experimenting with beer.
No.
Really. The more, the merrier. And you can be as irresponsible as you want to be. That's, as long as you don't get behind the wheel of a car.
Or a bulldozer.
Or a, a machine gun. You're taking
they don't have wheels.
Now.
As long as you don't get behind the
control.
You
can get behind a bulldozer as long as you don't take medication. It's do not operate heavy machinery.
To some of us, beer's medication.
Some of us, it's food.
That's true.
Some of it is holy sacrament.
Indeed. But yes, when you consider scientific mistakes caused by nuclear destruction and testing,
yes,
You have a whole range of things that you can pull from. You have them.
Everything's big.
Created by the giant ants.
Atomic test in the desert, creating giant ants.
And then you have
Tarantula.
Yeah, tarantula.
You've got
what about the giant Gila monster? Was he atomic?
I don't know. Probably.
What about...
There's the one with the grasshoppers. What's that called?
Beginning of the End.
I think yeah,
the one with Peter Graves,
Mm-hmm.
where the
right.
Isn't that Beginning of the End? The one with the giant grasshoppers eat Chicago?
Yeah, I think it was Beginning of the End.
You gotta watch out.
It up,
with Peter Graves.
So far everything just gets big. We've got.
Well, yeah, the
they
great.
Just get giant size and
no, see, because I mean, obviously in that era in the 50s, radiation was atomic stuff was the big scare, and you had radiation. But I mean, you also had the Incredible Shrinking Man. He shrank because of radiation.
That's right.
But then you had the Amazing Colossal Man.
Mm-hmm.
He grew because of radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Point is, radiation you never
Attack of the 50-foot woman.
Yeah.
For all we know, radiation did affect something, and it's really small and we can't see it. It's
and it created
slowly taking over.
And it started the whole mutation thing with the X-Men.
That's right.
So, But see, it's the thing. Like you get the new technology, you have the potential to try this stuff out, and then is it irresponsible to just go ahead and do it, and deal with the ramifications later? I mean, you can't always stop and think. I mean, you can't foresee everything that's going to happen because of what you're doing.
No, but Einstein did have a
moral
crisis when he sent the letter to say that that nuclear fission was possible and that you could create a weapon from it.
Yeah, I was watching Trinity and Beyond was on recently, and the part where they're talking about the H-bomb, and they're talking to Edward Teller, and apparently he was like the one guy. He's known as the father of the H-bomb because he was the one guy who was staunchly for it. I mean, not necessarily that he figured it out more than anybody else, but he was the guy going, "Yes, we need an H-bomb," and they're. So, I mean, but you can't, you've got to do stuff, learn from it, and then down the road you're like, whoa, we've got some stuff we never even imagined.
It's Pandora's box. I mean, exactly.
Often, yeah, but I mean, you can't always just sit back and play it safe. I mean, or
no.
Science doesn't advance. I mean, you've got to take chances, but unfortunately, yeah, a lot of times you can let the monster out and can't always get it back in.
No, genie doesn't go back in the bottle that easily. Not with something like this. That's why we're running into so many problems with like what we would consider rogue nations getting a hold of nuclear arms, because it's becoming easier and easier to get a hold of. It's becoming easier and easier for those technologies that we originally used to make it into everyday usage. I mean, hell, we developed the atomic bomb more than 60 years ago. The technology that was able to do that is far been made into better technologies, and to get a hold of that original technology wouldn't be that difficult. I mean, all the science has been published. You can buy books.
The primary component of that whole program was like really hardcore math.
Sure.
I mean, it was guys.
And the fact that we had like 4 Nobel Prize winners working on it at the time, and then another additional 5 afterwards.
It was guys doing crazy math and going, like 16 chalkboards worth of stuff for an equation. Going, yeah, okay, well that'll work. I mean, it's not. It was. I mean, you look at some like the gaseous diffusion plant that's like the size of a city block. I mean, it's fairly low tech, but a complicated, expensive, and time-consuming process.
Well, the first nuclear reactor was actually housed in what looked like a warehouse. I mean, it had like a tin roof and everything. It wasn't like what you see when you think of The Simpsons or 3 Mile Island. It wasn't the big smokestack.
Yeah.
It was. They did it for a few seconds to prove that it was possible, but then that was the first nuclear reactor.
Well, it's something. I mean, obviously anyone that was around at the time, when the 2 bombs were dropped. Obviously, even nowadays, if you watch footage of it, you can get some idea of the power and it's a really dramatic event. It's horrifying. It's huge. It's devastating.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I mean that's going to link, and it's something that, you know, like most science, it's not well understood by the average person. So it just represents something. It's just an atomic bomb. Most people, obviously, everybody's going to know what an atomic bomb is and what a mushroom cloud looks like, and you know, but they don't understand the process. They don't understand what's going on.
It's our logo. It's our logo.
So, yeah, you know, I mean, they understand what it is, but they don't understand the process. So it's easy, and most people don't even understand the concept of what exactly radioactivity entails.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to sort of demonize it, and and misrepresent it, like all the movies we were just talking about. So once you enter like the Cold War and the atomic age and all this stuff, and you have the very real threat of getting nuked, you know, by the commies and all this stuff, it's easy to sort of demonize anything that, you know, you can throw around the word atomic and it's radioactive. You can throw around these words that people don't fully understand. You can demonize it, and you can explain. So you have all the monster movies, all the mutant weird stuff, and you can blame it all on radiation.
Mm-hmm.
You can say like, oh, he got exposed to radiation, so he shrank, and then he got exposed to radiation, he grew, and you know, and all that stuff.
When in reality, it's you get exposed to radiation and you burn.
Yeah,
Sure.
and if you get enough, you'll get cancer, and your organs will start to dissolve, and you know,
Well, it's
your hair will fall. You know, and it's like
It's just like the computer, you know, like in the stealth.
yeah.
You know, if your computer gets struck by lightning, it of course it'll turn
Yeah.
evil.
Sure.
So you had
It won't crap
you
out
had
and stop working. It'll just turn evil.
yeah, and so you had all these movies of the 50s, you know, where you could have anything. You could come up with any premise that you wanted. A giant something, a miniature something, whatever, you know, a mutant something, and you could just the mechanism that to enable all of this to happen was radioactivity. And the modern equivalent of the great, you know, sort of specter that of all of our stuff that is, you know, quote unquote genetics, and you know, genetic engineering and all this stuff, and very few people understand it.
Indeed.
You know, and you can come up with anything. You can come up with, you know, like those bad Sci-Fi Channel, you know, half man, half shark creature movies, and you can throw together 15 buzzwords into a complete bullshit sentence, you know, of how he took this and he spliced it with this,
Sure.
and you know, he did you got to throw in DNA, you know, and like
Well, that's
something, you know, and you throw in a couple of words that people have heard before, you know, in like, you know, 30 seconds of watching a National Geographic special or something with David Attenborough in it. You know, they've heard these words before. So like, oh, well, you know, yeah, they genetic engineering and all this stuff, and
making
you can create anything.
giant monsters.
You know,
sure.
or like I was making fun of Michael Crichton, like that every bit of a minute and a half in Jurassic Park where they try to explain how they create dinosaurs.
Yeah, with the frogs.
Yeah, like we had some dinosaur DNA, but it was missing parts, so we filled it in with parts from frog DNA.
It was the cartoon, the little explanatory cartoon that
never
they
made
had.
sense.
Yeah, I mean
that's
that
like
makes,
two different species.
yeah, that makes
Sure.
absolutely no sense, and it's like it was missing parts.
From
so
an
we,
amphibian.
yeah, so we filled it in with frog stuff, and it's like, oh,
Apparently,
okay,
Michael
that worked.
Crichton has some kind of like smart people he talks to every now and then, but he doesn't really understand what they're saying.
So
Yeah.
I mean, but
He
you
just
know,
sort of-
that's
Maybe writes down what he remembers when he gets home. I don't know.
so. Yeah, I mean, you have this, you know, this perception, and it's weird. It's like in movies like that, you can. What we're talking about here, these obviously that popular culture is where we're exposed to it like that. The sort of demonization of reckless science.
Yes.
These guys, you know, and
Of reckless science. I mean, not all science is reckless.
that's what I mean,
You have
like-
the Center for Disease Control probably does have, like, strains of bacteria that could kill a lot of people on hand
yeah.
in Atlanta, you know, just so
Yeah.
they can study it. But then if somebody were to, you know, like, take it like a vial, I don't know what they're contained in, but, you know, like in 12 Monkeys, when, you know, open up basically like a mason jar, like the scientific version of the mason jar, open it up and let somebody sniff it. Hey, man. You know,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Jurassic Park is something most people have seen. You know, that sort of stuff. Like this guy, he's got all the money to do it. He doesn't really think ahead. fully as to what could possibly go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just wants to do it. He pays the people to do all the work for him, you know, and they do it, and obviously...
And he didn't listen to Jeff Goldblum.
Yes. That's a basic rule.
Because yes, you have to listen to Jeff Goldblum
Yes.
because he's always right in the movies. You know.
Or at least he's creepy enough to convince you that...
Yeah, he's taller than you. You need to listen to him. I like how they try to play him off as like this sort of suave, cool mathematician.
Because he's got a black leather blazer on.
I know,
you
like
know?
that makes you cool. Yeah,
and
that makes you cool.
Yeah, and it's funny because, and another thing that at the time was very sort of in vogue.
Chaos theory.
Sure.
He's throwing around. Throwing around half-ass, makes no sense chaos theory. The way the rest of the movie is half-ass, makes no sense genetics.
I'm not even really sure why he got invited. You know, he's like a mathematician. Like, why would you invite a mathematician to come see dinosaurs?
And then you've got the paleontologist guy, you know, that's using all of the what were at the time like the sort of cutting edge theories about dinosaurs. He's based sort of on. Jack Horner and a little bit of Bob Backer, I think.
With the birds being...
Yeah, that and like how T-Rexes were really athletic and ran real fast and all, and they were possibly warm-blooded. All that was like really cutting edge at the time.
Makes for better CGI.
Exactly.
When they move quickly.
Yeah, rather than going and lumbering slowly like...
Or a guy in a rubber suit, which to this day I'm way more fond of the guy in the rubber suit.
I like Dynamation, you know. I mean, I want everything Harryhausen-esque.
Yeah.
You'll never hurt my feelings with stop motion. But I mean, so you got all that, and it's like it's so misrepresented in all these movies, and it's like I guess I've been a science geek most of my life, so I mean, and I'm not up on everything, but you know, I mean, I used to have a subscription to Omni. Thought it was the coolest magazine ever. You know,
Omni was a cool magazine.
Omni's not even around.
I know, but I mean, I used to. I mean, like, yeah, but I mean, I read Omni all the time. Omni was awesome. I was devastated when Omni went away.
I remember when they had paper airplanes, like you could make them in there.
Because Omni was like the first, like, really cool. It was like a science magazine that was like.
It had literature in it.
It was cool science. They had fiction, but it was cool science. But it was like weird and interesting.
It was published by the guy that did Penthouse.
I mean, it wasn't like
magazine.
It wasn't one of those like reading Nature,
sure,
where people publish papers. Yeah, and you're like, you can't read Nature. You know, I mean, I'm not. I'm not a grad student.
I don't want to read scientific publication. I want to read
but
I want to not so much a layman's terms. I don't want to be talked down to.
You want scientific journalism.
Yeah,
you don't want genetics for dummies.
No.
I
don't want the dry math behind it all.
Yeah, but it was But I mean, so you see the way that science is misrepresented, and in these bad movies and bad TV shows, and it's demonized.
There's so many to choose from with the scientists that have gone wrong. Night of the Lepus.
Bunnies.
Piranha. But
so it begs the question: what do you do about
it? The worms?
Squirm.
That
wasn't. Yeah, they were struck by. They were
struck by light.
Power line.
It was a power line. There was electricity on a worm farm.
Yeah. And they turned into flesh-eating.
What's the one with the leeches? It's the one with leeches.
Leeches. I don't remember leeches.
I can't think of who's in it.
It was probably called Leeches.
I don't know.
Leech, the movie.
Leech. Yeah.
Leech and Leech 2. Electric Boogaloo. Turn of the Leech.
I think that's the Eel sequel.
Eel.
Well, I mean, and then there's
So I mean, the big one. I think of that's I think the whole genetics thing is what everyone is.
Sure, it's the specter of doom.
For our generation, much like the bomb was back then.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one that most people are expecting to just fucking ruin everything. Something's going to get out of control.
Well, it's Michael Bay. All we have to do is worry about whatever Michael Bay makes a movie about. We had to worry about. Remember when people were saying we're going to hit by an asteroid, and then there were 3 asteroid movies out at the same time, and then Armageddon was Michael Bay.
Well, thank God there was only one Pearl Harbor movie.
Now we got Snuppy, and The Island's out. We got to worry about cloning. Michael Bay.
Let's just say that Michael Bay's an
You just
idiot.
got to worry about what he's after, you know.
Yeah.
Well, what do you
What
do
he's
about
making
it?
a movie
I mean, the
about.
whole point of, like, what happened, what do you do about it?
Yeah.
Like, for those people listening, we got to give them advice on what to
But
do.
cloning?
What are you going to do?
Make
There's
your
like-
own clone. You have to be proactive.
Clone thyself,
That's right.
my son. So I mean, no. I mean, honestly, if we're talking about science run amok, amok,
Amok.
That's how it's spelled.
yes, and technically, I think that's anyway.
I don't
But-
think that's how you say it.
Amok.
It's amok.
No, it's not amok. It's amok. Anyway,
All right,
Anyway.
whatever. I'll take your word for it.
what I'm for. I mean, obviously, genetics and genetic especially, I guess, would say genetic engineering.
You're for genetics.
No, because genetics is its own. But I'm specifically, now that we have the ability to genetically engineer things, to manipulate that sort of fundamental structure of life, and we're getting more and more, dramatic in what we can do with it. I mean, and then, like I said, that is the sort of the specter of doom for our generation. And I think that's most likely. I think that's what most people expect, because we're pretty much over the atomic bomb thing, even though they still like to talk about, terrorists may get nuclear stuff. I think it's highly unlikely. But I think genetics, which is going to be a huge over the next century, that's going to be one of the biggest things in science. That's what's most likely to run amok and cause some sort of, because I mean, you've got everything. You've got, like, with animals, you've got this, cloning or the chimera type stuff. You've got GM foods,
Sure.
which is a huge thing that no one really knows exactly how that's going to impact ecosystems.
Well, mostly what you hear about is like Taco Bell using genetically modified corn,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. But they're not like corn mutants. They're just corn that's resistant to weather, drought, that sort of thing.
But you don't know how,
It's not like the 85-foot tall corn monster.
But when what happens is, like, they try to keep that stuff contained, and when you have elements of the GM corn that gets distributed by birds or whatever, and that gets mixed in with strains of regular corn.
Sure, and
You had to bring up mutant corn this week, didn't you?
Well, I felt like it was necessary. After,
but I mean,
after
it's the whole thing of, like, you have the GM crop, and the whole thing is, like, that it doesn't get out. And obviously, it's not a frickin' triffid, it's corn.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't know what the long-term ramifications of that stuff are.
That's
because,
like killer bees.
Yeah.
Bringing over African bees in order to get honey, and then basically having them escape.
That never really happened, though.
That never happened?
I mean, there's you remember back, like, in the
they just
early
never made it up here like
there was
supposed
to be,
but they're real.
I
know they actually
bees.
escaped, and they actually started breeding with other bees, and now they're working their way north.
But they've been saying that for the past 20 years. They've never.
But the only thing that's really stopping them is the desert, the Mexican desert. I mean, you can't really just.
Yeah.
They can't.
But
make it.
Yeah, that's one of those. It's or any of those things where, like, introducing, a species of one type into an ecosystem to do something, and they don't think about like.
Well, that happens unintentionally. I mean, they've got that. I don't remember what it is, but there's a species of some kind of sea plant or algae that's taken over in the Mediterranean.
Well, it's like kudzu in the south.
Sure.
I mean,
Well, this is supposed to be like underwater kudzu, and apparently what happened was there's an oceanographic institute in France. They're right on the Mediterranean. That not only is
the shit's taken over
right
too.
on it, but apparently, like, it's on a dock or part of, like, a concrete, like, walkway that's right there on the ocean. Yeah. And what they think may have happened is that, like, the seaweed that they were keeping as a study from the tropics got loose and fell into the Mediterranean and started growing in the Mediterranean in one area.
Yeah, it's like an epidemic.
And then worked its way, growing the entire breadth of the Mediterranean. It's actually reshaping the bottom of the Mediterranean because of the growth. And then it's gotten in other places too. And in California, they're talking about it growing in one particular place, and they're trying to keep it from growing any further. But they're not sure how to stop it either, and they're trying to kill it with chlorine. But they're saying that this stuff can, it's highly resistant to any kind of, well, there isn't anything that feeds on it, and it doesn't seem to be bothered by the fact that the Mediterranean is cool water, where it normally would grow in tropic, and people are using it in their fish tanks as decorative seaweed, so it can be put into the sewer system if it's disposed of improperly, and then wind up in the ocean or the river or wherever and start growing, and then all of a sudden, the type of grasses that are on the seafloor, like in the Mediterranean, that keep a lot of plants or a lot of animals alive, is no longer there because it's been taken over by the seaweed. That's another thing. I mean, but basically the Oceanographic Institute, that can't think of the name of it, but the one that did it is denying it. They're saying, well, we didn't have anything to do with that, even though it was basically growing in their backyard, and that's where the whole thing started.
That's exactly. It's one of those things where, at first it doesn't seem like a big deal. You're like, oh, it's just freaking seaweed, But obviously everything is connected, and you've got that's why they call it an ecosystem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all connected, and you start messing with any part of it, and you never know down the road how that's going to affect other things. It affects one other species, which, may be preyed upon by something else, and, it's all connected, and it all either goes up or down the line somewhere.
Well, with scientists working on so many different things now, and moving in so many different directions and being aided by new technologies, and the possibilities being so much greater for giant discoveries now than any other time in history. I mean, we have like SETI, the people at Arecibo in
Arecibo?
Yeah, Arecibo. See, Derek is important for this show. He corrects my...
In Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico. Yes, correcting my English.
And your Spanish.
And my Spanish.
And your Japanese.
And my Japanese. He's multilingual. Actually, yes. So our Japanese...
I'll start correcting your German.
Our 2 Japanese listeners won't get pissed off because Derek's on the ball and taking care of it. So at any rate, but yeah, we're sending messages out in space, and what if we contact the wrong aliens?
We already did that show.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about that. What if we contact the wrong aliens? What
do you mean by the wrong aliens?
Well, I mean, like somebody's listening to hey, intelligent life, and they come down here and they get what we got.
Yeah, I can see your point. I mean,
because we're just sending out stuff. We're like, hello.
I think they're more
here.
Aren't they more in like listening mode now?
I don't know. I mean,
SETI just listens. Yeah.
Do they just listen? They don't send out signals at all?
We send out signals just by broadcasting television. So
I guess not. Radio telescopes do that, but it's not the same thing. Okay. Well, then we're safe. Hopefully.
What's that stuff?
Well, what happens when SETI hears something? When they hear the hello.
We've already done that episode. Remember, we're screwed.
Right.
Yes. They're going to come here and they're going to kill us all.
That's right, and eat us.
Drain our blood at least.
Because we're tasty humans.
Yep.
Everybody knows humans are tasty.
Yes.
I don't know that.
Oh,
no.
But I might try.
Extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
tasty
the word
to
goes
them,
around.
We're not tasty to each other.
I mean, Soylent Green didn't look that tasty. Like
well,
crackers.
That's because they turned us into crackers.
Yeah.
If they'd made us into steaks.
I don't like greens. Yeah. I'm not big on green.
Well, they had in Soylent Green. They made lots of different stuff.
Soylent
so they
Yellow?
had like Soylent
Yellow
Orange.
was like Soylent Yellow was like the fake bread.
Okay.
Soylent Green was the
supposed to be vegetables.
And then there was there Soylent Red?
Soylent Orange.
There was red
fruit.
Yeah.
I
think red was like the fake meat. Which strangely should have been us, but I don't know.
That's odd though, because George Washington Carver, although he's known for peanuts research, was actually much more of a researcher of soybeans. And the reason why soybeans are so predominant in food science now is because of him. So he didn't know that eventually one day he'd be, helping to turn us all into Soylent Green. So does that make him evil? Does that make him irresponsible as a scientist? I mean,
he didn't. No, that's what I mean. So I mean, I don't know that you can hold that many of the. I mean, obviously, a great many. There are scientific discoveries or scientific work that occasionally, things have. Things can get out of control. There are going to be ramifications that. Well, there can be problems, but I don't think that necessarily you can hold the scientists. You can't always hold them responsible. I mean, I don't know how they cannot always foresee that stuff.
No.
So I think it's largely a thing of it's just sort of an unfortunate byproduct of the process of scientific discovery. Because the point of it all is to discover the unknown. And if it's unknown, then the full consequences and full ramifications of it are unforeseen.
Yeah, I believe it's better to know than not know.
I mean,
however,
you just have to realize that there's a great, and it's hard for me because I'm not a religious person. I mean, I have morals and ethics, but like the ethical problems that certain people have with cloning, it's that's a personal thing. It's difficult. Obviously,
I think it's more of a human rights issue. If we're going to clone people, are they people? And I say yes.
It's just difficult. I mean, obviously there would be certain advantages to it, but it's the kind of thing you can't do it, and then have lots of sort of, you can only do it for this, or you can only do it for that. If you're going to do it, it's probably going to be done broadly.
Well, you can't just go harvesting organs either.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a really, really tricky issue. But I mean, to me, that seems to be the thing. I think that's the greatest threat of what we're trying to talk about here, with science run amok. This sort of out of control thing. There's just so much going on in genetic engineering and everything, and there's just such a great potential because it is life, and life is obviously there are rules, for lack of a better term, to the way that life operates. Reproductive things. I mean, there's a basic, there's order to it all. That's a better term than rules. There's order to it, but at the same time, there's a lot of randomness. There's a lot of
there's lots of variables involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. So you start changing things in that sort of big equation of life, and where it's going to go.
And then you get monkeys that are super intelligent telling us what to do.
The whole thing, monkeys with human... If you had a monkey with a human intelligence...
Then he'd be a badass. Monkeys are pretty strong. You think about a chimpanzee, man, could rip a guy apart.
That's an ape.
That intelligence.
Chimpanzees can do it too. They're pretty strong.
Chimps and gorillas but that's apes, not monkeys. But I mean,
No, I'm not thinking super strong spider monkeys or anything.
Yeah, I mean,
that.
it's
flinging poo. Be a much better shot.
Yeah, I mean, if they have human intelligence, then obviously they're not going to be smarter than us.
Sure.
I don't know how you can get super smart monkeys, but I mean, if you had chimps, actually all the apes. I mean, chimps, gorillas, orangutans.
It's only a stone's throw from Dr. Zayas.
I'm not so sure about gibbons, but they're all very strong.
Baboons.
Those are monkeys too.
Yeah.
I was commenting on apes, but
yeah.
I mean, monkeys. I mean, they're fairly strong for their size. Yeah, but I mean, apes. Most of the the great apes.
Well, would the chimpanzees be the scientists and the apes be the military and the
gorillas would be the
military? And the gorillas.
And the orangutans were more in the administrative role.
Yeah, that's right.
The legislative role.
And there weren't any baboons in Planet of the Apes, were there?
It's because baboons are monkeys.
Oh.
The gibbons were the ones that were neglected.
Oh.
Baboons are big monkeys.
And they had that, like, funky nose, too. They probably got pushed out by everybody else. They're like, if you got a big nose and you're a human, you get laid upon.
That's what you have.
Just straight up. You're like,
Chimps,
oh, look at you,
gorillas,
big nose.
orangutans, and gibbons. I'm thinking that's it, right?
I think that is all they had.
There were no gibbons. There were no gibbons in Planet of the Apes.
No.
What happened to the gibbons?
I don't know. They must not have gotten the, whatever made them...
It's the bomb, man.
Well, yeah, but... We're talking about now. I mean, there's people, like, actually trying to make smarter apes.
But see, to me, that's the sort of thing...
that are working on trying to work with the two closest sets of DNA that we know of between mammals, and that's ourselves and apes.
Yeah.
So, it's only... and then we have already, apes that can communicate sign language. So, I mean, there's already the structure for that kind of advancement. If we can get an ape to talk, we're more interested in communication with the animals.
They'd have to have the physical capability to do that, though, and they don't. I mean, they have to have a specific physiology to be able to
Well, no,
speak.
they wouldn't necessarily be able to speak, but if a ape can sign and tell you what it wants, it doesn't really matter if it can speak or not. If it can figure out what it wants and get it itself, like, hey, I can take off and, hey, that's a gun, or hey, I can drive that car. Or maybe it doesn't even need to do that. Maybe all it needs to do is, hey, I can kill everybody, to get what I want.
I guess,
or, hey, I can get really cool leather clothes.
Well, I mean, they'd have to have the capacity.
That's right.
There's a certain point when the intelligence of an animal is going to have to be discernible. Because if you gave a dog hands, I'm sure a dog could say, give me food in sign language if you showed it how to do it. Do this, and I give you food. And it's going to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not necessarily going to ask you for what it wants either. It's only going to communicate with you if it feels like it's necessary to communicate with you. Otherwise, it's going to go, what am I asking this clown for? I'm smart enough to get it for myself. In fact, I'm smarter than him. I'll get it for myself, and then I'll become the master. I'm tired of drinking out of a bowl. Even though that's all I can do. I can't pick up the bowl, but I'm tired of him getting it for me.
Yeah.
Whenever he wants to, and letting me out whenever he wants to, Bark, bark, bark.
Oh, believe me, I'd rather have a dog that lets itself out. So,
sure. I mean, I'm down with it too, but then you get the dog that wants, to sit in your chair.
Change the channel.
Yeah, and change the channel on TV, and, then he can get a job. What if your dog went to work, like, every day? Like, it was like a, have to go to work and be a police dog. And then he came home at night, he's like, oh, I had a rough day at work, and he lies around.
Or like the sheepdog from Bugs Bunny.
Sure.
He clocks in.
Sure, he clocks in. That's what you're going to get when you get intelligent animals. You're going to get dogs that clock in and out, and drink coffee and watch sheep all day long, and that's pretty much it. You're going to have coyotes and roadrunners that order stuff online. You got a coyote
instead of the old catalog, the Acme.com
catalog
on the phone.
I need the rocket-powered roller skates, please.
Yes.
Because he can't talk. He's going, he's online, ordering it, and then it gets shipped to him, and he puts on the rocket-powered roller skates, and he realizes what a bad idea this is when he goes crashing into the wall. That's the kind of science that I'm talking about.
That's my kind of science.
That's right. I mean, that's hyper-intelligent animals.
I think there are people who do that. Yeah. I don't know if you need animals to do that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, wouldn't it be great if you knew that there were animals wearing rocket power roller skates and buying explosive bird food?
I think he was just using gunpowder instead of the bird, mixing it with the bird.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing. Is like so much of that is that's what I'm saying. Like the thing is, you have scientists doing things because they can, and they want to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't always, the sort of when people talk about the ethics of science, it's like just because you can do it doesn't mean that you have to. If there really isn't necessarily, you have to have some, or do you? This is the question I guess I'm presenting or posing. Should you have to have some idea of what can be learned from this experiment? Or should you just do something because you can?
Well,
and then see what happens.
You see, that's an idea of science being in its pure form.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And most of the time, science is funded by a entity that wants to make money from it.
Yeah, that's
and
applied
you talk
science.
about like in Strange Days, where they invent the headset that you put on and you can relive a memory that you have recorded. Like that same thing.
I liked it better when it was Brainstorm.
Yeah, and Brainstorm also. But you can basically just sit there and record a actual memory.
Yeah.
And then sit there and relive it over and over again. And imagine that. I mean, in Brainstorm, they had the guy that was like just comatose, or not comatose, but lying in bed, like
he had a heart attack.
having the memory of like having sex with a teenage girl over and over again, until he has a heart attack. Because I mean, once that becomes available, that's exactly what you're going to have. Is you're going to have people who are going to have other people's memories of great things that have happened to them, and they're going to relive them over and over again,
or terrible things,
and not have their own memories anymore. They're just going to be like, well, this sucks, I don't do anything. I go to work every day. I live a 9-to-5 job, I come home and I got bullshit things to do around the house. I can strap on this thing on my head, and all of a sudden I'm like, having sex with teenage girls. I mean,
legal teenage
what's
girls.
going to stop that from happening?
Well, I mean, something that we mentioned earlier, we were talking about the Island of Dr. Moreau, which is, that's Wells' great treatise on like science without morality.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of science out of control thing. And the difference in the book versus any of the film versions, there's 3 that I know of that are based on the book. And the thing that they always represent in the films, or the way they always portray the character of Moreau in the films, is that he's somewhat sort of playing God. He's controlling these creatures' lives.
That one with Brando.
He's reshaping. So, I mean, there's the old one, there's the Island of Lost Souls with Charles Lawton, which is good, and then you have the one from the 70s with Burt Lancaster and Michael York, which isn't bad, and then you have the Island of Chef Boyardee with Brando and which is
Val Kilmer,
Kilmer,
and the monkey, the cute little monkey boy with the tail.
Was that Vernon Troyer?
No, it wasn't.
The only good thing about that one is it has
freaky.
The ice bucket hat, my favorite part.
I don't think
the Island of Chef Boyardee. Anyway, he's the big fat guy he's got the white outfit and the weird white. He looked like Chef Boyardee to me. It's the Island. But anyway, especially in that one, because if you look at it through as technology's progressed, in the Island of Lost Souls, it's from the 30s. They don't really touch on exactly how he does it. And then in the one from the 70s, it's all these injections and serums, and then the most recent one, it's all genetics, But he's always sort of playing God in the movies, and there's always some speech about, you madman, how could you be doing this, and he's got this sort of godlike complex of controlling and shaping and all this stuff. And the gruesome thing is, in the book, it's done by vivisection. Mm-hmm. He's a renowned vivisectionist, which means he's cutting these animals up and surgically altering them, reshaping them. Like he's taking a dog's leg, slicing it to pieces. When the dog's alive, he's cutting it, reshaping it, the bones and the tendons and everything, and reattaching it in a format, surgically altering a dog's body to make it walk like a man.
Mm-hmm.
surgically altering their face and their throat to give them the ability to speech, of speech. And obviously that's a stretch, but
well, it's science applied from the time.
And
also.
Again, that was in Wells' time. That's how it was seen. But the thing that's most shocking to me in reading the book is like the whole thing when Moreau is asked basically, why are you doing it all? He effectively says, I'm doing it because I can. And I just thought it would be cool. That's the creepy thing to me in the book, is like he's not playing God. He just kind of wants to do it and wants to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
he's just, his hand is forced to make like the House of Pain and
and then he sees
he
sees what happens with his creations, and then he's sort of forced to take control more.
Mm-hmm.
He's just kind of doing it for kicks almost when he starts, because he's such a brilliant surgeon.
Well, it's like Frankenstein,
and he wants to do this thing, and he's like, it'd be really cool. I think I could do this. I could take this, panther, and I could cut it up and reshape it, and it could be almost like a human, And then when he sees how they've changed and how they, react to it, how they sort of form their own little society, and how they have the same sort of questions, of like, what am I supposed to do?
Exactly.
You've made me into this. To what do I do now?
Well, exactly. Like Frankenstein. Yeah. You had the Frankenstein's monster wanted to know, why am I here? Why did you create me? And barring that Frankenstein didn't know the answers, he shunned him, and Frankenstein became like angry at his creator, and then enacted revenge.
It's like you do it because you can, and you don't really stop and think of like, is there anything necessarily to be
should
done?
I do it? Yeah. But like I was saying with the science being funded by R&D of companies, looking to make a product from things. Look at the Sony PlayStation Portable. It comes out as a video game, and all of a sudden, boom! It's being hacked, and you can play movies on it that you didn't buy. And then all of a sudden, like Sony even says, hey, we're going to start having porn on this thing, and we don't have any control over that. They're using our technology to make what they want to make, and we can't do anything about it. And all of a sudden, it's this platform of do whatever you want to do with it. You can make it do all kinds of crazy stuff. And that's true of so many things now, that the original intent isn't always what's going to be done with it. It's not going to be, here we got a machine that's basically like a pocket porn machine.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's going to be lots of Asian porn on it too, so I'm thinking about buying one. And I mean, here you go.
Yet another nod to our Japanese fans.
I know. We had because
tonight's episode is dedicated.
Can I get a hookup?
We'll send you a tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. And
kanji.
It's very important. Well, I think we've gotten to the part of the episode where we're actually going to read our first viewer mail, or listener mail, rather. I'm so used to listener mail.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to draw the letter out of the giant, drum, like the grand prize game.
Yes.
Bozo show.
Right. We need a lovely assistant in a sequin gown.
Our lovely assistant.
Yes.
And
that's me.
I'm going to get the robot to read it. How about that?
Robot.
Let's see if it works.
Oh, she's lovely.
Kick it.
Our lovely robot?
Our lovely robot. Robot, can you read us the email, please?
You saved my life. Well, kind of. I have been working for my dad, who is a doctor, and he stuck me down in a dusty, dingy, and all-around not fun basement all this week. I never want to see a medical file again. I literally sorted through thousands of them. Anyway, getting back to the point, only one thing kept me sane for these past days, my iPod. More specifically, podcasting, and more specifically than that, your podcast. I would turn on your podcast and suddenly I wasn't filing. I was pondering how I would take over the world, and how if aliens ever invade, we're all totally screwed. Anyway, in the last podcast that I listened to, you guys said you hadn't had any emails yet, which saddened me deeply, because quite frankly, your show rocks. So, I figured I would send you guys an email to tell you to keep up the good work. Your biggest fan, Sean O'Halloran. P.S. So how about them rub-on tattoos?
Well, thanks, Sean, for the email.
Excellent grammar.
I had no idea that our robot was a female Arab.
Man, why would you ever get anything but a female robot? I don't understand the whole male robot idea.
I don't know.
I will, if I'm like out buying a robot, I'm not going to buy a male robot. What the hell?
Fembots.
Yeah, that's right. It's all about fembots. I can't imagine anybody would make a male robot.
No, that's a great. I thank you, Sean.
Yes,
that was.
Thank you very much, Sean. And if indeed we saved your life, then we're going to have to go by the old ways. You're basically we own you.
You're indebted to us.
That's right. You have to.
You have to save each of our lives
before you're freed from your indebted service.
Yes.
So yeah, you basically are now our Sherpa. So you have to carry our stuff around, like to when we go places, you've got a backpack on with all our junk in it.
You can be my ammo mule.
That's right. And we need that. So it's very fortuitous that you called or that you emailed us and let us have that.
I'm especially going to need the ammo mule.
Why's that?
Because I always need it. I always need ammo. I can never carry enough.
Yes.
But
we're working on the tattoos.
Yeah,
so
we are. We are working on the
tattoos.
tattoos. It's going to happen. We're going to have tattoos.
And Sean's going to get like 5 of them.
Yeah, we're going to give Sean a bunch of tattoos because Sean is our first email.
We're going to give you. Enough to put at least one on every limb.
That's right.
And your forehead.
That's right. Yes.
And then you got to take a picture and email it to
us. Yeah, that's right. Because we don't know where Sean's from either. So I would have liked to have had that information, but like Sean didn't leave it with us. But Sean is in the basement, might not know where he is.
True.
Also, it could be dark down there, and he's dealing with files.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be his own little miniature version of Brazil going on down there?
Information retrieval.
Exactly. He could have no idea where he's at, and I feel for him because that's hideous.
I wouldn't.
But yeah, we're going to send him lots of swag for being our very first email, and we thank him. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, we want to hear from all the people from overseas too.
Sure.
Yeah, we want to hear from everyone. In fact,
anything good, anything bad.
If temporary tattoos doesn't get you up off your ass, to email us at destructomundo@gmail.com and just say hello and tell us how much you like the show. That's right. Tell us how much you like us. That's right.
Desperate plea.
That's right.
Desperate plea.
Desperate
and
plea.
See, and then when we put pictures up, photographs,
validate our existence.
Then all the ladies are going to send in emails.
Yeah, you can. That's right.
We need to put pictures
all the
up.
ladies send us send us pictures of you wearing our temporary tattoo, and we'll put them up on the website. We promise. Absolutely. Even though
the babes of Destructomundo.
We still don't have our top 10 list up.
We'll blur out the nipples too.
We do have a very vanilla website up right now, and that will change in the future. We're working on something a little better, and it's going to have a lot more information for everybody. And it's not going to be so much like a blog because I just don't want to have to keep up with that. But it is going to have show notes, and it's going to have links, and it's going to have top 10 lists, at least one.
At least one.
Yeah, at least one, and we're going to have
top 10 cool things you could send me.
That's
because
right.
I can't afford them.
Top 10 cool stuff, and for our two Japanese listeners, and we have a Finnish listener also. There's a Finn that listens to the show.
All I have to say to you, 2 words for you: Kimi Räikkönen.
That's right, or Mika Hakkinen.
Where's Yngwie Malmsteen from?
I thought he was Swedish.
Is he? Yeah, is he?
I don't know.
I don't think we have any Swedish listeners, so we can make fun of Yngwie.
We can talk about Kimi and Mika. Oh, yes. Okay.
and Tommy.
Yes. Kimi Räikkönen. Okay.
That's right. We love rally and we love Formula One, so yes. So send us email, our Finnish fans. And they're fan. He might have a friend that listens with him.
Turn your friends on.
That's right. Turn your friends on. Tell them, we love the Finns and we love the Japanese. Oh, boy, do we love the Japanese. And
love is not an adequate word.
No, it isn't. It's not even close to the kind of feelings I have towards the Japanese.
I'm sorry, I had a moment there.
Sure.
Yes.
But thank you so much for listening to the show tonight, and
thank you for spending another hour or so
that you'll never get back.
Yes. Yeah. We've taken an hour plus.
Well, you could have been. It's radio.
We're happy to say hi to everybody. So I want that guy from New Zealand to send something too.
Yeah,
a Kiwi.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had a Kiwi.
Yeah,
we have a New Zealand listener.
And
I have two words for you, Bruce McLaren.
We're making all our race. We're listing all our favorite race car drivers from the different countries, because they actually know who we're talking about. If we name race car drivers here,
I hope that in New Zealand Bruce McLaren is well known and remembered well.
And he should be.
He should be. I hope he is.
And we'll send you tattoos also, even though it'll cost us a buttload.
Not if we put it on a ship.
Yeah,
and you get it 9 months later.
Yeah, you'll get it. Might not be soon, but yeah, we'll get it to you. No, we promise. We promise. The first person from another country to email us, will get swag. Yeah. Absolutely, and we'll make sure that everybody who gets us email will at least get temporary tattoos, because we are going to have the coolest temporary tattoos. So and
you might just get a bonus gift.
Yeah.
Because I've got cool stuff, man. I'll stick it in an envelope and send it to you.
Sure, we'll just.
You may not want it. It may scare the hell out of you.
And we got empty beer bottles.
I got stuff to get rid of. My apartment is full of stuff. I got stuff.
Hey, he's not lying either. Derek's got tons of stuff, but
I mean, I'll stick stuff in an envelope and send it to you. It may scare your parents, but I mean, it won't be like a steaming pile of dog shit. I won't send you that.
By the time it gets there, it won't be steaming.
But it could be.
No, I'll send you cool. I'll at least send you weird stuff.
Yeah, it'll be weird.
It won't be like...
We don't own anything that isn't weird, so
it won't be. Yeah, it won't be... I won't send you like a dog turd.
No. With a finger.
No. It won't be anything, illegal or unhygienic.
It won't be
It won't be anything that you can't ship through UPS.
Yeah. It just might be cool and weird.
Because we got to be really... we've got to fill out customs forms now here in the States. So.
Yeah. That's right. With everything that's going on now, you never know. But to our American listeners also we email us. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you have to say. Tell us we suck. Tell us you like us. Validate our existence.
Yes.
But yes, email us. And anyways, from Destructomundo, I'm James.
And I'm still not James.
I'm Ted. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've confirmed. Reconnaissance has confirmed that you are Ted.
Until next time.
Halt! Up. A riot is an ugly thing. And I think that it is just about time that we had one! Kill the monster! As heaven is my witness. Up. He will curse the day that he was born a Frankenstein. What? I said he will curse the day that he was born a Frankenstein.